Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, said something that should terrify you until you make the unconscious conscious. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Read that again in your mind. If you feel like you are stuck in a loop, if you keep dating the same toxic person with a different face, if you keep quitting jobs right before you succeed, if you feel like there is an invisible hand sabotaging your happiness right when you get close to it, that isn't bad luck. And it isn't fate. That is your shadow. You are not the captain of your ship. You are the passenger. The shadow is the captain. And until you walk up to the bridge and take the wheel, you will keep crashing into the same rocks, over and over again. If you are ready to stop being your own worst enemy, it is time to do shadow work. Warning, this process is uncomfortable. It requires you to look at parts of yourself you have spent a lifetime hiding. It requires you to admit things about yourself that are not nice. But I promise you, it is the only way to truly get unstuck. Welcome back to Take and Grow. Let's talk about the enemy within. We like to think we are rational beings. We think we make decisions based on logic. But neuroscience and depth psychology tell us that 95% of our cognitive activity is subconscious. Imagine your psyche is an iceberg. The 5% above the water is your persona. This is the mask you wear. It's the you that is polite, hardworking, and socially acceptable. It's the you that wants to be liked. But the 95% below the water, that is the shadow. The shadow is not evil. That is a Hollywood myth. The shadow is simply everything you were forced to repress to survive your childhood. Here is how the shadow is born. Imagine, you were born as a 360-degree circle of light. You were whole. You were loud, you were messy. You were angry, you were joyful, you were greedy, you were generous. You were everything. But then, reality hit. Your father said, "Stop crying. Boys don't cry." So, you took your sadness, wrapped it up, and threw it into the bag you dragged behind you. Your teacher said, "Don't be so loud. Be a good girl." You took your boldness and threw it in the bag. Society said, "Don't be selfish." You took your self-preservation and threw it in the bag. By the time you are 20 years old, you are a thin slice of your original self. You are only the persona. But the bag is heavy, and it is dragging you down. And here's the kicker. The things in the bag didn't die. They are alive. They have energy. And because you are ignoring them, they are acting out in the dark. That repressed anger. It comes out as passive. That repressed sadness. It comes out as an inability to feel joy. That repressed selfishness. It comes out as manipulation. Shadow work is the process of opening the bag. So, how do we know what is in your bag? The shadow is, by definition, unconscious. You can't see it directly, just like you can't see your own back without a mirror. Luckily, the world provides us with 2 mirrors. If you look into them honestly, they will show you your shadow. These mirrors are triggers and projection. Mirror number 1. The trigger, the disproportionate reaction. Think about the last time you had a massive emotional reaction to something small. Someone cut you off in traffic, and you didn't just get annoyed. You felt rage. You wanted to hurt them. Your partner gave you mild feedback on the dishes, and you didn't just listen. You felt shame and wanted to run away. There is a rule in shadow work. If it's hysterical, it's historical. If the event was a level 2, but your reaction was a level 10, the gap between those numbers is your shadow. That rage isn't about the traffic. That rage is about a part of you that feels powerless, a part you stuffed in the bag long ago. When that driver cuts you off, they poke the wound of your powerlessness. A trigger is not an annoyance. It is an excavation site. It marks the spot where your shadow is buried. Mirror #2. Projection, the hardest pill. This is where most people turn off the video. Stay with me. Stay with me, Carl Jung said. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Who is the person you absolutely cannot stand? Maybe it's the arrogant guy at work who always brags. Maybe it's the lazy friend who never has a job. Maybe it's the attention-seeking girl on Instagram. You hate him. You judge them. You gossip about them. Why? Because they are acting out a part of you that you have repressed. You are projecting your shadow onto them like a movie projector. You hate the arrogant guy because you have repressed your own desire for power and recognition. You have a golden shadow of confidence that you are not allowing yourself to own. You hate the lazy friend because you are a workaholic who forces yourself to grind, and you have repressed your own need for rest. You are jealous of their freedom, even if you call it laziness. They are your mirror. If you didn't have that trait within you, their behavior wouldn't trigger you. It would just be neutral data. You would just think, that person is loud, and move on. The fact that it hooks you means it lives in you. Now that we know where to look, how do we actually do the work? How do we integrate the shadow so it stops sabotaging us? I'm going to give you a 3-step shadow work protocol. You need a journal for this. Do not do this in your head. Shadow work in your head is just rumination. Shadow work on paper is alchemy. Step 1. The spot and stop data collection for the next 7 days. Your job is to catch yourself being triggered. The moment you feel that spike of judgment, anger, jealousy, or intense defensiveness, stop. Do not act on it. Do not send the text. Just freeze. Open your journal and write. The event, for example, Mark interrupted me in the meeting. The emotion, for example, I felt invisible. I felt violent rage. The story, for example, he thinks I'm stupid. I never get respect. You are just collecting data. You are hunting the shadow. Step 2. The you is me. Reversal, radical ownership. Take that judgment you wrote down about the other person. Mark is so disrespectful and arrogant. Change the subject to I. I am so disrespectful and arrogant. Now, sit with that. The ego will hate this. It will scream, no, I'm not. But ask yourself, in what ways am I disrespectful to myself? Do I interrupt my own intuition? In what ways am I disrespectful to others? Perhaps silently. In what ways do I wish I could be arrogant? Do I wish I could just take up space like Mark does? Find the grain of truth in the reversal. You are looking for the part of you that is exactly like the person you hate. Step 3. Dialogue. With the shadow active imagination, this is the most powerful technique. Give that shadow part a voice. If you found a shadow of rage, write a dialogue with it. Treat it like a separate person sitting in the chair across from you. You, why are you here? Rage. Shadow, because you let people walk all over you. You, what do you want? Shadow, I want to protect you. I want you to have boundaries. When you speak to the shadow, you realize it is not a monster. It is a protector. It is a wounded child trying to keep you safe, using outdated methods. The rage isn't bad. And it's just misguided. It's trying to set a boundary, but it's doing it with a flamethrower, because you won't use your words. Why go through this pain? Why dig up the past? Why look at your own ugliness? Because the bag doesn't just contain your darkness. It contains your gold. This is what Jung called the golden shadow. When you repressed your anger, you also repressed your passion. You became nice, but you also became boring and weak. When you repressed your sadness, you also repressed your ability to feel deep empathy and joy. When you repressed your selfishness, you repressed your leadership ability and your self-respect. Shadow work is essentially energy retrieval. Imagine you are holding a beach ball underwater. That beach ball is your shadow. It takes constant, low-level effort to keep it submerged. That is why you are tired all the time. That is why you have no motivation. You are using all your energy to hide from yourself. When you integrate the shadow in, you admit, yes, I can be arrogant sometimes. Or yes, I have a capacity for aggression. You stop fighting yourself. The beach ball floats to the surface. You reclaim that energy. You take the aggression, strip away the violence, and what is left? Drive. You take the arrogance, strip away the cruelty, and what is left? Confidence. You become whole. A nice person is harmless. They are weak. A whole person is capable of harm, is capable of aggression, but chooses peace. That is true strength. That is congruence. You have spent your whole life running from your shadow, but you cannot run from it, because it is you. It is the tail of the dragon. The loop you are stuck in, the bad relationships, the lost jobs, the financial struggle. That is your shadow tapping you on the shoulder, begging to be seen. Stop calling it fate. Turn around. Look it in the eye and say, I see you. If you are brave enough to start this journey, hit that like button. It tells me this community is ready for the deep work, not just the surface level hacks. And if you are ready to master your mindset and stop the subscribe to Take and Grow. Here's your challenge for this week. It is a difficult one. Think of the person who annoys you the most in your life right now, the villain in your movie. What is the specific trait in them that bothers you? And ask yourself, where does that trait live in me? Tell me in the comments. What is one trait you have realized is in your shadow? Is it anger? Is it laziness? Is it judgment? Name it to tame it. Thank you for watching. Do the work. Become whole.